Welcome to another episode of Hidden in Plain Sight. This will be the second episode as far as the Black Nobility family is concerned. Now, the Kish Empire, which was originally set up in Mesopotamia by the Olmecs, was later removed and sent to Africa and became Kush before Kush with a C. Because there were two different Kush empires, you have the biblical Ethiopian Kush, the Mesopotamia Kush, or Kish, and also the Book of Ether, Kish, on the tablet of the cross at Palenque in San Lorenzo in southern Mexico. An engraved stone known as Monument 47 depicts a Olmec king named Kish, who took the throne on Wednesday, March 25th, 967 BC. The original Kish Empire existed many thousands of years before the Egyptian Empire. In fact, in 750 BC, King Kashata of Napata, the present capital of Sudan, had to come in to the Egypt and take over because the Egyptians at this time had political instability and they had been given too many secrets away to the Garubat, or disagreeables. Tefnut, daughter of Atumra, and Kuberi moved out of Egypt and into Nubia. Because of her argument with Shu about some of these issues as well, she became the Catwoman, Detrest in Nubia, which was really the jaguar ruler of the earth. The Hyksos dynasty, Romans, and Greeks were given too much information by the late dynasties of Egypt, and as a result of this, many of our people are totally lost, and most of our Commission scientists are being used against us. The Olmecs, however, kept everything away from these people, which is why our language is still undeciphered by them. They don't know where we came from. They don't know why we disappeared. They don't know how we built the stone heads. They don't know why there are so many Olmec structures on Mars. They don't know why Olmec cities are popping up all over the planet Earth. They don't know so many things about us. And we will only reveal to them that which we want them to know, for the safeguards and protection of our secrets. However, the Nobans, now called Nubians, only ruled Egypt for about a decade, and they left and moved to other territories in India, Asia, and the Americas. These are the things that has not been revealed to the public until now. This is hard for a lot of scholars to accept because they have been taught that we are all from Africa and we were not anywhere else on this planet. If you do a little research on underwater cities in Asia, Japan, and China in particular, you will see sunken cities with Olmec faces on them. Oceanographers, scientists, and others have agreed that this is a 300-mile underwater city which had to have been above ground more than 10,000 years ago, and the monuments and structure are very similar to the Olmec structures in Central America. No group of people from anywhere of any type was neither here nor there before us. We are the first and the last. It doesn't matter how long you lie to yourself, because a lie is never going to become truth. In northwest India, there are multiple mile-long underwater cities, which are said to be the size of Manhattan, New York. When together, also in Yunnan province, China researchers are reporting the discovery of Mayan pyramid-like buildings under Foxian Lake in China's Yunnan province. They are using the words Mayan pyramid-like buildings because they are still afraid of the Black nobility. The pyramids in Central America, which are said to be the Mayan, are none other than Olmec pyramids. Because the pyramids, which are said to be Mayan, predate the existence of the Mayans, there is absolutely no way that you could have invented, created, or built something that existed prior to your existence. The pyramids are claiming to be Mayan also existed thousands of years prior to the Mayans. This is what is meant by Black nobility cover-up. Instead of saying Olmecs, they will say Mayan until the very end. I am going to see how long they are going to play this Mayan game and try to accredit our legacy to other people. Most Black people are not descendants of slaves, but are ascendants of royal and Black noble families. This does not mean that all Black people are ascendants of Black nobles, because some are descendants of slaves and were sold for their disagreeable ways. One of the key Black noble families of Black nobility was the Idrisid dynasty, which ruled Morocco from 789 AD to 926 AD. The Idrisid dynasty was a dynasty of Malian Moors who were the first Arab rulers of Morocco and descended from the Ethiopian Moor Bilal Habashi, who was the son of Rabah and Hamama, the Ethiopian Moor from 551 AD to 641 AD. This Bilal was the Hebrew Essenic branch of Shriners, who was responsible for passing the scepter of rulership from Israel to Ishmael, giving the real prophet Muhammad his link to the ancient Shriners' brotherhood of Sayyids, called Sharifs, or nobles, nobles, referred to Set the Record, straight by Dr. Malachi Z. York. This Idrisid dynasty was a sacred dynasty of Black nobles and kings, such as King Mansa Musa, or Mansa Khan Musa, and his half-brother Abu Bakari. This Idrisid dynasty was a sacred dynasty of Black nobles and kings, such as King Musa. There were Malian Moor admirals who sailed to the Americas in the year 1311 AD and mixed with another dynasty of people who had been on these lands prior to all other civilizations. These people were called Nuban, or Shi people, and now called the Olmecs. The Washita tribe of the Olmecs, or the Shi people, ascendants, were who King Mansa Musa and Abu Bakari mixed with. The Washita tribe is one of the first Olmec tribes that birthed the Yamasee tribe of the southeastern region of Wahane. Dr. Malachi Z. York, or Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, is a descendant or ascendant of the Idrisid dynasty through his great-grandfather Ben York, son of Old York, and the great Empress Viridasis is the Empress of the Washita nation by way of Anna Marie, a washerwoman, daughter of the old Empress Ayumara. He is the new king of Uganda, who had worked in the United States as a nurse's aide in Maryland and Pennsylvania for several years. His true identity remained confidential until the appropriate time. He was granted his royal title at the age of 13 by way of his royal family and royal bloodline of Nubans. Because the Olmecs began the royal families in Uganda, Kenya, Nubia, and Ethiopia, black nobles, kings, and royal families are popping up all over the place now. So give me my crown, the author says. They are sure to continue popping up because we exist, and this is not a myth. This bloodline and lineage is not a joke. The Mende people were the immediate family or a branch of the Shi, Gabula dynasty of the Olmecs. They were also a part of a prehistoric trade network that began more than 100,000 years ago. That became widespread throughout the world. The Wichita, Yamasi, or Jamasi, Dogons, and other black tribes of the Americas were also a part of this trade network of cooperative economics. Our ancestors are calling us back home to our own systems of economics and our roots. The DNA tumble is taking place for us at present as the original black nobles, chiefs, kings, and gods who are taking our rightful place and reclaiming what is rightfully ours by birthright. Sinke, the rebel leader of the rebellion of the Amistad movie, was from the Mende tribe, and now Chief Gandobe Manga, the Mende chief, who is the Blue Crystal Storm, back to his tribe, and also, according to our Olmec Mayan cosmetology, and is working to restore economic empowerment. The prophecies of our ancestors are being fulfilled right before our eyes, hidden in plain sight. For it is through us, their offsprings, and we are chosen to do great things. We are currently being triggered genetically to move into our rightful space and place on the planet Earth. Some of us are evolving into whole light beings again, and others are depleting and regressing. No longer can we apologize for being who we are, nor can we pretend not to be who we are. We are the mother culture of all the Americas, North, South, and Central. All other tribes and races of people came after the Olmecs, who were later called the Arawaks in South America. The Arawaks were the original inhabitants of Jamaica, Haiti, the Bahamas, and Barbados. They migrated from South America before settling in the Caribbean. However, according to historical records of the European settlers, Barbados was supposedly uninhabited when the Portuguese Pedro de Campos landed there in the early 1500s. Nevertheless, it was previously inhabited by the Arawak Native American Moors. Then the Black Caribs followed by the Portuguese and the English. The Arawaks were also the original inhabitants of Surmain before it became a sovereign republic in 1975. The Olmecs migrated into two different directions on this side of the Atlantic as the original Atlanteans. One group of the Olmecs migrated to the eastern island near the Bermuda Triangle and settled in the islands of Jamaica, Haiti, Bahamas, Trinidad, and Barbados. They set up colonies on these islands and became known as the Arawaks. The Arawaks were the original inhabitants of the Caribbean islands. The Siboney are the Sobonese of the Greater Antilles, Caribbean. Some contained large crystals like many of Olmec caves in Central America. The team Siboney which means cave dwellers, was given to the neighboring indigenous peoples of the Arawaks in the Caribbean islands. History of his story has it that the linguistic affiliation of the Siboney is unknown, but their origins and features point to the indigenous people of Florida, Central and South America. Many of the European settlers claim that islands like Barbados and Curaçao was inhabited or uninhabited, but their arrival in the 1500s, but of course, they were not uninhabited. The Portuguese, French, and English settlers just unalived many of them off and enslaved the others. Most are unaware that the Portuguese Jews were responsible for the first form of slavery in the Caribbean. That is why many of the indigenous people of the Caribbean speak Papiamento. On islands such as Curaçao and Barbados, which is a dialect from the Portuguese, not Dutch, French, or English. The indigenous peoples of these islands were ascendants of black nobles and kings from the Olmec tribe or the Shi clan. They became psychological, physical, and debt slaves to the Portuguese Jews and the West Indian Corporation formed by the invaders. The West Indian Company became bankrupt after a period of time and was purchased by the Dutch people of Holland, which then became known as Dutch West India Company. Among its founding fathers was William Unisquins from 1567 to 1647, which consequently gave birth to the name of places such as Willemstad, Curaçao, and the Netherlands Antilles. On June 3rd of 1621, the Dutch West India Company was granted a charter from a trade monopoly in the West Indies, meaning the Caribbean, by the Republic of the Seven United Netherlands and given jurisdiction over the African slave trade, Brazil, the Caribbean, and North America. Some of the indigenous people in Brazil speak Portuguese because of this. The movie called The International explains how these banks and corporations are in business to control the debt and you as a debt slave to their federal corporations. Title 28, 3002 of the United States Codes tells us that the United States is nothing but a federal corporation. Title 28, Section 3002 reads, in 15, United States means A federal corporation, B, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or C, an instrumentally of the United States. These so-called countries no longer use physical slavery, but rather economic slavery, by way of their corporations, and psychological slavery by way of their fiction religions. This is why none of these corporations, such as the United States, United Kingdom, and Kingdom of the Netherlands, ever honor any of the religious laws of the holy books that their representatives claim to believe in. Exodus 20:13 says, "Thou shalt not unalive," and Exodus 20:15 says, "Thou shalt not steal." But the people who claim to believe in the Bible do these things all the time. They have stolen indigenous people's land and unalived many of our people in the process. The churches are no different because they are corporations under the 1954 Ways and Means Bill and have a special tax obligation under 501c3 or 501c4 of the International Revenue Codes. These are commercial codes created by the federal government for corporations or businesses. Where does the money that people give in church on Sunday go? Is it only the pastor, or is it to him and the corporation that he works for? This is the end of the second episode of the Black Nobility family. Thank you guys for sticking around to listen this long. If you are interested in more content like this, please subscribe. Thumbs up the video or thumbs it down as long as you're here. Also, if you have any feedback, any corrections, any comments, please feel free to leave that in the comment section respectfully. Thank you for listening. I'm truly grateful for your time. Be blessed.